ready?
Sure.
All right, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Really wanted to have an opportunity to kind of wrap up spring. I know with the shortened practice and the way spring concluded, I just wanted to be able to get together with each of you and be able to kind of discuss big picture approach. I thought it was a very productive spring. We had 13 practices. I was really proud of our players for the work that they put in. It was fun watching both sides of the ball, special teams, a collective group of individuals all pouring into truly trying to be their best, trying to challenge each other, trying to compete. I thought that we talked a lot in January, and then even right before spring practice began, about an edge that was necessary, and to see that in how guys competed, see that in how guys upheld the standard, pushed themselves, and I thought that we really got a great glimpse of the potential of what this team can be. It's the continued growth as we go into summer workouts, as we go into preparing for fall camp. But I mean, I felt this football team in the way that they practiced, and there was not every practice was a great practice. We had specifically just thinking around that 10th practice, really wasn't what we wanted, and to see the way that they responded, the next 2 days was really I thought a great opportunity for them to show a little bit of that grit, a little bit of that desire and the edge that they were willing to bring together, and very competitive in that regards. We did have some guys that were banged up throughout, so there's still some I'd say unknowns, but still some opportunities that are going to be critical for guys to grow through this summer workouts, and as many times that they can get out, whether it's player led, whether it's times that we do get with coaches, just to be able to build that continuity, to continue to develop together, I think is going to be huge. And I went through all the exit meetings there this last week, and I really like where our guys are, and they get a little bit of a break right now. Our coaches are on the road recruiting. Obviously, I can't be on the road right now. So we'll I've got some stops here in May on different booster events, and continuing to share about this team and where we're going. But really looking forward to the months that are ahead. We're working through. Have some. We've been able to add 2 additions officially to the program. In Jeremiah Wilson and Jan King. I'm excited about those guys coming and joining the program. I really think that there's probably a few more additions at a couple of positions, and excited about where that's heading as we're going into the summer months. But it's full speed ahead around here, and definitely excited about the steps that have been taken.
All right. Obviously, it's understandable what happened at the end of the spring, losing those practices. Is there? I think a lot of fans are asking, is there a way to get those 2 added to the fall, or is there any way to make up that time?
There's not, and I mean it's extremely difficult for everybody involved. That was affected by the tragedy, but and that was our focus, and just being able to with our team, with everybody, just being empathetic to all that were for just everything that was going on around campus. And so we made the decision that we were going to conclude spring and move forward with our meetings, and as guys were preparing the last week of school and finals this week. I definitely think that was the right decision to be made. Our guys did a really good job of coming in and putting in their own time, getting workouts, and kind of staying active through that last week. I do want them to take a little bit of time to take a deep breath. Some guys will be going home. Just time to refresh body, minds as we get ready for the sprint that's ahead. So we will not add to it the practice load of what we have, but we've got a great plan for this summer and what being able to get the work that's necessary.
As you look at adding final pieces, is there a specific piece that you have to have, and also do you do it with the idea of 105 you not worry about that until the house settlements?
You know, and it's, the house settlement's there's so many dynamics that are still up in the air with potential roster you know, what's that gonna look like? You know, we went into it with the approach of the 105, but, you know, understanding that there's gonna be some flexibility, and so, yeah, there are some areas where we could, you'll be fluid in just our roster count right now, and what we're looking at. There's a couple, you know, I think there's a couple of situations that could be, you know, great for what could add competition, add impact players at, at a position, and we're definitely gonna look at that. And, you know, I think that, you know, from what we saw this spring, there's a lot of excitement around our program about the guys that we have on this team. You know, but as you go through a season, you know, you want to put everybody in the best position to achieve, and you know, that depth, competition, you know, playmaking ability, you know, you're making sure you're finding the right guys that can bring that edge and desire to go be the best that this football team can be. You know, that's one of the things that we'll always evaluate, and so, you know, not to get into any, you know, real specific position, but we're evaluating all things.
You mentioned the guys you added. Jeremiah obviously has been a productive player. Was that a situation where you guys were looking to help the cornerback room, or is this, hey, there's a player that could really help our team?
Yeah, I mean, it had to be really the right fit, you know, in that. I'm excited about that group. I think we've got some really talented, you know, guys in the corner position. You know, there's versatility in where, you know, where they can align, what they can do. Obviously, a lot of competition. But when you see, you know, Jeremiah, there's, you know, in twofold. When you know, he had announced that he was going in the portal, you know, we really got a chance to look, study, you know, kind of go through all things of you know, what he was able to do, you know, this last year. Obviously, you know, Coach White was involved in his recruiting process, you know, up at when he went to Syracuse, and so there's familiarity of the young man, but even seeing just his growth, and then when he went in the portal, it was something that you know, we knew we wanted to pursue, and, you know, getting him here on campus, you get a chance to be around him in person. I mean, just his energy, you know, the work ethic that he has, the desire to come in and to be able to pour all that he has into this team. And, you know, he loved Florida State. He's loved Florida State his entire life, and you know, now get a chance to end his collegiate career here as a Florida State Seminole, a guy that's been highly productive. You know, he is a football guy, and he's very active around the ball, throw his body around, you know, plays with high energy. I mean, really, you know, has a relentless kind of mindset in the game, and then, you know, he's been a great playmaker. So we're looking forward to what he brings to the corner position, and I think it was the right fit. And you know, had a relationship. Kai Bates and him had been training for years, and, you know, being able to kind of hear even Kai's perspective on him. You know, Coach White, you know, guys that had been around him. You know, he was the right guy for you know, our cornerback room to be able to come in, and we're excited about you know, what that will do for that room, and seeing those guys continue to elevate.
Chris? With the offensive line group, you had a few guys dinged up throughout the spring. How difficult is it to judge what the projected 5 are?
Yeah, I mean, there's some challenging elements in that, and but, you know, I'm excited about the guys that we have, and you know, I really think that it's going to be, you know, a group that has, you know, great experience. It's a group that you know, I think has ability, size, strength, you know, all the key components. And, you know, now it's about, you know, developing that continuity. And so you know, as much time as they can you know, make this summer together, you know, I think it's going to be huge. But, you know, you're looking at a group that does have a lot of game experience. I mean, you can even look at, you know, you guys that have been here, whether it's, you know, Andre Otto, who, you know, is still very young in his career, but, you know, he got valuable game experience last year. He was thrown into the fire, you know, in that, and, you know, so it won't be new to him. I mean, he's a guy that, it just kind of comes to my mind. You're seeing his confidence in all things, and he knows that, you know, there's guys in the room that are probably a little bit more experienced, but, you know, even just the way that you know him, Lucas, you know, those guys have really done a good job in taking advantage of opportunities this spring, and I think they got a lot of confidence here moving forward. But yeah, I mean, we do need to maximize every day, you know, trying to build that continuity. But you know, I do believe that group is going to be a potentially one of the great strengths of what this team can be.
Peter?
Coach, adding Jalen King, coming from an FCS school and with his experience and what he established over there, why do you feel like you want to bring like another veteran QB in that room, and what do you feel like he's a fit there?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, really all elements of that situation. You know, Jalen actually came to camp here when he was, you know, coming out of high school, and I, you know, when his name you know, went into the portal, he was somebody that, you know, I remembered, you know, seeing him in camp. You know, obviously, you know, just you had you know, great arm talent, you know, movements. You know, he went to play at a smaller level school. You know, just, you know, in regards to his recruitment, and you know, he got 2 years of experience under his belt. And there's still some areas where he knows he needs to grow, he needs to develop. You know, he really kind of embraces the chance that he has to come in and yes, compete, but you know, also knowing that he's got, you know, an extra year, you know, a redshirt year available. I mean, ideally, that's what we want to do with him, and you know, that's really what he wants to do. But you know, he's going to come in the summer and you know, hit the ground running and you know, try to learn everything that he can. But you know, it just, you know, he wants to come in and be able to pour everything he has into this program, and you know, he thinks it'd be a great addition to the quarterback room. You know, I'm really pleased with the guys that went through the spring. I thought that was one of the highlights of our spring ball, was watching that quarterback room. You know, with you know, Tommy, Brock, you know, Kevin. I thought all those guys were you know, had great springs, and so you're seeing their progression. But you know, we've had the last few years, we've only had 3 scholarship quarterbacks, you know, on the roster, and then, you know, you get down and we've had to use them at times, and you got down to that level. And so being able to have that, you know, another talented young man in that room, I think is going to provide, you know, great depth. It's going to be able to provide great competition, and so I'm excited about, you know, Jalen and you know, obviously the short-term, you know, impact within the roster, but also, you know, the long-term potential of his growth.
You were asked about the wide receivers, but you know, is it more of a concern about, you know, you did lose some numbers at the end of the spring, or is it more needing more playmakers in that group?
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, we were over at the number. I mean, there had to be some real conversations, and you know, at the end of the day, like, that was, you know, really nothing's happened. I could say it was just absolutely you know, unexpected. You know, at that position, you know, you evaluate. You know, it's a challenge, it's competition, it's, you know, you got to go do it too. And you know, it's I'm really pleased with, you know, some of the newcomers that joined the program in January, and I really believe that, you know, the growth of guys that have been here. I mean, you look at last year. I mean, we had, you know, 3 freshmen that played, and you know, that you know, you're seeing steps from them. You know, obviously we've added some you know, experienced guys that have come into the room that we believe have, you know, very, very high ceilings of what they can do, how they can lead. You know, we're going to continue to build upon the competition, but you know, within that room, and if there's an opportunity to add, you know, an experienced playmaker, then yes, I mean, that's something we'll look at. But I think we also have a lot of versatility when you look at, you know, our tight ends room, and you look at, you know, the way that can all kind of you'll be guided, you know, in personnel utilization. I mean, I think there's a lot of flexibility that we will have, and I'm excited about, you know, just the skill position players that we have here. So you know, we'll continue to evaluate all things, but you know, really when it came to receiver, I mean, we were over. So I mean, that was going to be, you know, like I said, some real conversations.
We have time for a couple more. All right.
When you mentioned the tough conversations, I was just curious, do you, feels like there's a new reality in college football now, you know, obviously with all the player movement, but also from the pressure to win it quickly and all that. It seems like in the old days, like, you know, players might have 4 or 5 years to figure it out. Is that speeding things up, and has that been an adjustment for you as a head coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, there is, you know, yes, everything needs to be done today, you know, and that is a part of it. But you know, you still look at players and growth and development, and you know, things that sometimes just take a little bit of time. And you know, I've seen as much of that now as ever before how guys deal with that pressure is, again, critical. And, you know, we've had guys that have, you come in with big expectations and, you know, all the things, and, you know, if it doesn't go, if it's not an immediate, you know, return on that, then, you know, how they handle the outside within their families, within, you know, everybody telling them what it should be and what it should look like. And, you know, I've seen guys that handle it really well and, you know, come in and had, you know, great, you know, early starts to their career. And I've seen guys that haven't. And, you know, if you allow that, you know, to say the pressure of it, if you allow that to tighten you up, if you're not able to go play free, if you're not able to have fun doing this, it's hard to go out there and be your best. And so, you know, that's something we try to, and I'm really trying to take a very active role in just helping guys through the process, because you know, you're going to see growth. You're going to see, you know, guys that, you know, if they're enjoying doing what they get to do and playing this game and competing, you know, and really being able to block out, you know, some of those, you know, outside distractions. You know, some of the expectations can be a distraction. I mean, if you allow them to be, it's, you know, go and enjoy this, have fun playing. I mean, you know, yes, there's you know, there's a lot that can pour onto you, but this is, I mean, you've worked your butt off to put yourself in this position, to be at this place, and have fun doing it too. And so that's one of the, yeah, I've watched, you know, guys that have taken great strides, and, you know, it's also being able to help guys along, you know, with their own, you know, management of you know, of what that looks like. And so, yes, you got to win now, and that's part of it. I mean, that's the world we all live in. But, you know, being able to see guys grow and fulfill the potential that they have, I mean, it's exciting to be a part of. And you know, we've been able to see that with guys. I mean, you know, you look at, you know, Azari and Josh getting drafted last weekend, and, you know, both those guys came through the program. And Azari, you know, he played as a freshman. He didn't start. I mean, he only started really 1 year. You know, but he was something that he got better each and every year. He's prepared, ready. He goes into a great situation. You know, Josh Farmer, really same thing. And you know, I got to talk to both those guys after they got drafted, and what was exciting was to see their joy in where they were getting to go, because they knew it was the best fit for them. I mean, because you can get drafted to any team, but when you go into the right situation with the right staff, the right style of play, you know, it fits their skills. And so, I mean, it was really, those were two guys that came through the program, and, you know, some other guys that got opportunities as free agents. And you know, it's just, you know, all that work, the growth and development, I mean, that's how you want to see it, you know, kind of pay off.
Bob?
Coach Mark Eston tweeted over the weekend that he was going to go in the portal, and in the end doesn't go in the portal. Can you share some of the conversations that you've had with him about what he's weighing and how he's deciding what he wants to do with his football career?
Yeah, you know, I mean, we're excited for Mark Houston to be a part of this program, and you know, obviously he's had a unique journey. I mean, just, you know, he's had his challenges from when he first got here. You know, not really being available for the better part of that first year. You know, and the work that it went into that. You know, being here, being a good role player. You know, he had some impact there early. You know, he left. You know, going to another school, and you know, didn't quite work out necessarily how he maybe wanted it to, or envisioned it being. And you know, there's a lot that goes on into you know, these thought process. And you know, Marqueson's got 1 year, and he wants it to, you know, wants it to be the best that it can possibly be. And you know, you can go through the ebb and flow of emotions of you know, where you think that is, what you think that is. And you know, I'm grateful that he's here, and he's going to be a part of this program. I think, you know, we've got a chance to have a really dynamic you know, tight end room. I think Mark Houston definitely you know, brings tremendous, you know, value and playmaking ability to that room. And so you know, I think it's come together the way it needs to, and you know, excited to have him a part of it.
Last one, Chris.
Your running back room is pretty deep, but what would it take for you to add one? What's the kind of player that would help that room be something different?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, really just the right fit. And you know, I really like the guys that we have. I like the you know, the ability, the potential, you know, but just like in all things, when you know, it would need to be somebody that has a, you know, an ability to come in and make an immediate impact, but also it's gotta be well-rounded. And, whereas somebody that values all parts of the game, whether it's, what they do with the ball in their hands, protection, obviously, catching the ball out of the backfield, special teams impact, every bit of it. But, we've got a really good room, and I think Roydell, even missed a little bit of time in the spring. I think he's taken some major steps. I think he's a great leader. Jalen Lucas, I love what I'm seeing from him. Just to be able to come back off of that injury, what this year could look like. And then, you look at the, young backs. I think all those guys have great potential. Keziah Holmes, missed the better part of this spring with injuries, and so, like I told him, this is a big year for him, but he's got to go out there and do it. And so, but when you look at the collective group of guys, I think it's some talented players, a lot of versatility, and but if there's a right fit that's out there, then obviously we'll look to continue to enhance and improve this roster with impact players.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you guys. You all great.
Thank you.